Thanks very much. Now, the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is expected to win the presidential election convincingly in a ballot which has been criticised by the West and opposition groups as a farce. The polls opened in the country this morning with state TV showing thousands of people lining up to vote. Well, let's get reaction from a Syrian political activist, Ammar Waqqaf, who joins me in the studio. Good morning to you. Is this a fair election?
It's not totally fair, that's for sure. Many people who are outside Syria are barred by the new constitution of participating. There are a lot of Syrians who cannot vote for all sorts of reasons. Some of them it's pretty much unsafe. Some of them live outside government control. Some of them even disposed outside the country. But for the majority of Syrians who actually reside in Syria, the main questions now, the main challenges about security, about livelihood, they require somewhat a coherent government, and they believe that this election is a good way of giving mandate to maintain one.
We're hearing reports that many displaced Syrians in other countries in refugee camps are voting, not because they necessarily want to vote in Bashar al-Assad for his third term, but because actually they're afraid of not being able to regain entry into the country.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I mean, we've seen last week in Lebanon tens of thousands really flock in, and that was shocking to everyone involved. But so one theory is that they are trying to say, well, we need to, cover our backs here. But many Syrians, including myself, view it as, no, they're probably trying to tell me that they are disenchanted with their leadership. They realize now that the regime fall is not really imminent at all, and they are willing to stick with the framework of the government. Now, the fact that they are voting for President Bashar al-Assad or any of the other candidates isn't really relevant. What's relevant here is that more Syrians now are sticking with the governmental framework, and I think that's good for the consolidation.
Well, is that not potentially because the two candidates that they're being offered are relatively unknown? I mean, people in Syria don't have a good choice to make when they look at the candidates in front of them.
No,
These are two people that have been selected by the government.
No, they don't. Well, personally, actually, the two people who presented their candidacy came forward, actually they are not at fault at anything. But if you think of a political process whereby a candidate must have a team around them in order to maintain, in order to come to power and be able to execute their policies, that's not there, because we've been under an authoritarian sort of political life for too long now. But it is a step forward. This is the first time that we have multiple candidacy for the presidency, and it's up for us to take it from there, really.
Well, the polls have opened, and as you say, it seems likely Bashar al-Assad will win comfortably. Ammar Waqqaf, really interesting to talk to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Isabel.